Hello and welcome to the very first virtual national company programme launch. My name is Fraser Morrison, and along with an incredible group of dedicated volunteers across the country, I manage the delivery of the company programme here in Scotland. 7 years ago, back in 2013, I was in a very similar position to you. I was sitting in my own school in Forth Valley, about to embark on my own company programme journey. It may sound cliche, but it truly was a life-changing experience, and you probably won't appreciate that until it's all over. Perhaps I'll share my own young enterprise story with you one day, but for now, let's get into what you're actually here for, the launch of the Company Programme 2020. Company Programme is an opportunity for you to work with your peers to run a real company over the next 8 months. You will be responsible for planning, designing and selling a product or service of your choice with your company. Our ethos at Young Enterprise Scotland is all about learning by doing, and that is exactly what this programme offers. Through Company Programme, you will develop key employability and entrepreneurial skills, gain a real practical understanding of how business works, and most importantly, have fun. As a company, you will have to raise the initial £100 registration fee and any startup costs you need. You will take on all the roles, decide what to make, sell or create. You will sell them to the public. After paying your winding up fee, you decide what happens with the profits. And at the end of the year, you will take part in your regional finals event. Scotland is split up into 17 different regions, all run by a fantastic group of dedicated volunteers. In March or April next year, you will compete either in person or online, COVID permitting, against the other companies in your region. From there, the 17 finalists will go on to compete at the virtual Scottish Finals at the start of June 2021. The company that is crowned the Scottish Company of the Year will go on to represent Scotland at the UK Finals in mid-June. And if you're lucky enough to win there, this year you'll get the chance to go to Lithuania to represent the UK at the European Finals in July. Later on, I will show you some of the commercials created by the European finalists this year to give you an idea of what you're aiming for. Now, this all may seem like quite a lot, and you could be wondering what support is there to help us through this. Luckily, you're not alone. There is a great supportive structure around this programme. Each company will have a centre lead at your school who will be there to keep you up to date with the relevant information. You will also be allocated a business advisor to guide you and mentor you through this process. The local area team of volunteers for your region are on hand to help and support your school throughout the year as well. And then there is me and the team here at Young Enterprise Scotland, who will provide the overall programme support, help with any technical issues, and provide our new digital training programme throughout the year. There are a couple of really useful websites that you're going to need to get familiar with quite quickly. The first is YE Online. YE Online is a fantastic resource that will literally walk you step by step, milestone by milestone through the company programme. It has helpful videos, worksheets, downloads, a financial accounting package, and all the information you need to run a successful company. Once your centre lead registers your team for the programme, you will all get individual logins. I would recommend getting on and having a look through this as soon as possible. The second is YE Trading Station. This is our brand new online trading platform where you're able to set up an online shop so that customers from across the world can purchase your products. It is also the place where you must submit your product approval form. Before you start creating your product or running your service, you must receive approval from Young Enterprise Scotland. In order to do this, there is a simple online form and a decision is usually given within 40 hours of application. The third is the Yes Moodle platform. For any students undertaking the SEQF Level 6 qualification, you will need to register with the Moodle platform to do so. More information will be shared with your centre lead on how to do this. Moodle is the place where you will upload all of your evidence for your digital portfolio. Up next, I would like to introduce you to this year's Scottish Company of the Year, Timescape from Stirling High School, who dropped by our head office to share with you their journey and some advice for taking part in this year's programme.
Hi, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Hope.
And I'm Kirsten.
And we are Timescape, your Forth Valley and Scottish winners for 2020. So our product was a conservation-themed escape room, and we wanted to build a business that was based around the environment and sustainability, as that's very much how the world is going at the moment.
For those who don't know, an escape room is a physical game which involve a team of players who solve puzzles and clues under a specific time period, usually to solve an end goal.
Our escape room was conservation themed through our environmentally themed clues, and also all of our props were ethically sourced.
We managed to get all of our clues to incorporate some kind of sustainability or environmentally aware themes, such as deforestation, plastic pollution, animal extinction, and climate change.
Our initial idea came that we wanted to create a game, whether that would be on a physical product, such as a board game, which was one of our initial ideas. After a lot of brainstorming, we found that a board game would kind of be a bit more expensive. It's not cost effective.
It's harder to resource.
It was harder to source our products ethically. It just wasn't what we were looking for. There was a lot of waste that would go into producing that. And that's when we came up with the idea of our escape room. And this kind of came to light as we had already had prior experience of kind of working with Escape Scotland to run their escape room at our school's Winter Fete. So we prior to this. And this meant we were able to take our experience of working with them and create one for ourselves, which was innovative and kind of had an educational purpose rather than just a general theme.
Mm-hmm. And after all the market research we did, we discovered that experiences were more sought after than physical products because there was no waste to do with it. So one of the most useful things we found was doing the accreditation, as you were able to reflect on everything you've done, appreciate everything you've done, and see how far you've come since then. And also you get a grade out of it in the end, so couldn't complain about that.
Yeah, exactly. And being the first year that got to take part in the accreditation, it really helped us further our business. Another thing that really helped us was the YE online resources, and I think people kind of forget they're there sometimes because nobody tells them how good they are. But I'd really recommend them. We used them probably for every meeting. We had a meeting every Wednesday to kind of see how we were, and we used them every week. They were always good. It helped us with our minutes, it helped us with our finances, so they were a huge help in building our business.
Another thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask for help. I know it sometimes seems a bit daunting and it's a long-winded experience and you feel like sometimes you're on your own. But I would say reach out to your link teacher, reach out to your business advisor. They know the whole journey and inside out. They've seen teams go through it before. They've got the best advice as anything, and even reach out to people on the board in your local region. Fraser from YEUK Alumni Scotland. Everyone's there to help you, so don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly, and because it is quite a lot of work in the end, and it's hard to sometimes balance school and the experience of doing young enterprise, having those helping hands can really help, even if it's with the accreditation, the YE online resources, or the people who actually make young enterprise worth it.
To be completely honest, we had a lot of issues with our teamwork and workload. At the start, we didn't really have solidified roles, and some people weren't pulling their weight, so it ended up with a lot of uneven workload and us doing other tasks that we weren't really meant to do. So it did end up in kind of hard conversations with team members to make sure that we were all on the same page and everyone was happy with what they were doing.
I think one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't realise, and we were the same, you spend so much time putting all your effort into your product and designing it, and you expect that the first time you launch it or do a prototype that that's going to be your end product or service, and that's completely not the case. We done our trial event where we set our escape room in to our school and had our teachers trial it. We got feedback and we found that our escape room was too expensive and it could be completed too quickly, so we had to come back from that and take on constructive criticism and work as a team to improve our escape room ahead of our launch.
And sometimes taking on constructive criticism isn't really what you expect, and I think as a team we weren't fully equipped for that, but thankfully we were able to build our confidence from it and build a product that worked in the end, and we're really thankful for that.
My main piece of advice would be research the market, whether that is doing online market research or speaking to your link teacher about what previous teams have done within your school, looking at teams within your region as well as nationally in the Scottish and UK finals. I would say if there's a product out there that's been done multiple times before, scrap it completely. I would say be innovative. If there's something out there that's been done a lot, take your own spin on it. I would say also as well, don't shy away from doing an experience or a service like us. I would say a lot of people just go for the traditional physical product because I feel like that's what they're familiar with, whereas we kind of took a risk in our service and it luckily paid off for us, and I feel like that's what pushed us to stand out against some of the other companies out there as well. And I would say once you get your business idea, I would say, and get a clear ethos, whatever you do, whether that be choosing suppliers, creating your product, always relate it back to your ethos, so you're constantly questioning why you're different from everyone else.
Yeah, I would also say make sure that you are passionate about what you're doing and the topic you're covering, because if you're not passionate about it, you're going to slack off a little bit and you're going to let other team members down. You don't want to do that. And also to understand the commitment that comes with joining this company programme, because it is a year long and you want to do your best and come out top.
I'd also really recommend thinking of a blueprint before you go into it, because sometimes knowing where you want to end up is a really good starting point. I'd also really recommend thinking about an expansion plan as well. So when we started, we didn't really think about where we wanted to take our escape room, but by the end we knew we wanted an online platform, a version of it in schools, and even a shell of our escape room that could be fitted around new educational topics. But most importantly, I think it's really key to build partnerships with businesses you and your team feel passionate about. We were really lucky that we worked with build companies such as the Bumblebee Conservation Trust, who donated seed packets to us so that we could scrap the idea of planting trees, which has been done before, to make a business ethical. And once everybody told us that, we knew it wasn't something that would give us an innovative spin. So we gave seed packets for a wildflower garden out to every business, every team that took part in our business. We also linked with Codebase, who provided us space to run our escape room to companies, which gave us the idea for our innovative version. So some tips for the actual competition as well. Firstly, the report. I'd really recommend that as you're working your way through the report, link it to the judging criteria, because the clearer you can make your points, the easier it is for the judges to give you the award and give you the marks for it. Because at the end of the day, you want to put the best business you can forward. And if you can make it very concise and clear, that's going to be more beneficial for everybody reading it. I'd also really recommend starting your report early, even if it is just little bits here and there, because when you get to the end, I promise, you'll be thinking back and getting worried that you haven't put everything in you wanted to, haven't said everything you did. I'd also say get everyone and anyone to read it, because sometimes peer assessment can be the only and best critic you need.
I'd say when it comes to the interview, make sure you delegate areas and topics for each person to say, so that everyone has something to say and no one feels left out. I'd also say don't be afraid if you get cut out, because we had that personal experience, except at the end of the day, you're the person that knows your business best. I'd also say don't try and compare yourself to other teams. We got quite scared at the finals because we didn't make nearly as much profit as other teams, but at the end of the day, it's you presenting your business and how your business comes across.
I would say in terms of the presentation is make it as professional as possible visually. So maybe look at pitch decks was one of the things we looked at, have clear and consistent branding throughout. We had our green and turquoise consistently all the way through with our logo in the bottom of our presentation. I would also say is make it professional, but also add a little bit of humour as well, which we had some jokes as well. It kind of lightens the mood as well. And one thing I would say is rehearse ahead of time. Don't do the first time you do your presentation, don't do it on the night. Rehearse. We were rehearsing 2 weeks before. We had teachers come in and watch us give feedback. We took on criticism, changed things around. So I would say get feedback ahead of finals day, and that's like the best.
Mm-hmm. Basically put the best business you can forward.
Most importantly, enjoy your experience. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and make sure you have fun while doing it, because it's so rewarding in the end.
Young Enterprise is an opportunity which allows you to gain transferable skills and a qualification to show from it, but also you gain entrepreneurial skills as well, which I know a lot of people our age haven't been exposed to and had the opportunity to gain as of yet, which what I would say makes Young Enterprise so unique, and you should be proud to be a part of it.
But most importantly, we want to thank Young Enterprise for the experience. I think we can well and truly say it was once in a lifetime, and thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to be Scottish Champions of the Year 2020. Good luck to all the other teams this year.
A huge thanks to Timescape for taking the time to come and be part of this virtual launch. Now, you may be wondering what is actually involved in the competition element of the programme. Each company will be asked to write a 10-page template-based company report, give a 4-minute presentation, and take part in a 10 to 15-minute company interview with a panel of judges. You will also be judged on how you have used feedback within your business. More detailed guidance on this is available on the YE Online under the Competitions tab. I would encourage you to download this and have a read at the start of your journey so that you know exactly what you're aiming for next March. Watch out on our social media channels also for some online competitions running throughout the year. Up next, we have an interview with Tayla Evans, Managing Director of the winning UK company this year, followed by some of my favourite commercials created by this year's European finalists to give you some inspiration. Hi there, Tayla. Thank you so much for coming to be part of our virtual company programme launch in Scotland here today. Just so people to know, this is Tayla Evans, who was the MD of Envirotent, which went on to win the UK finals and went on to represent the UK at the European finals virtually in Portugal in July. And I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Tayla as part of the alumni panel for the European Leadership Award, which you won as well. So congratulations for that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it and just sharing my experience with everyone who's going to do it again this year.
Thank you so much. So why don't you kick us off by telling us a little bit about your company and how you actually came up with the idea for your business?
Yeah, so our company was called Envirotent, and we were in our board meetings and we'd gone through numerous different ideas. And being young people, we'd gone to festivals ourselves and had seen how many tents had been left behind. So I think about 1 in 4 people leave their tents behind. So afterwards, it's just a sea of plastic at the festival. So we wanted to create something that could combat this issue and just leave festivals in a more environmentally friendly way. So we created the Enviro Tent, which is a recyclable cardboard tent designed to be used at festivals to help tackle that issue.
And was the sustainability aspect of that quite an important driver for your business?
Yeah, so that was really our core value, was being sustainable. And so everything we did was incorporated in. So from all our marketing material, that was all environmentally friendly. So we just made sure that it was like a key part of our business.
And you've obviously had a really successful year, so congratulations, winning your regional finals, the UK finals, and competing at the Europeans. So I just wonder, from your point of view as managing director, what do you think made your team so successful?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because I suppose it differs for everyone. But I think for us, we did have a really original project. And I think that did help us stand out, but also the fact that we had our core values and we knew what they were, and we just kept replicating that in our business. But as well, we also took every opportunity and really used that to our advantage. So for companies that we visited or worked with, we would make sure that we kept that connection with them and use them to help us. So I think just showing that initiative for us was a big part in helping us get to where we got to.
And as managing director, how did you find managing a team of your peers? Because when I did the programme like 7 years ago, I found that quite a challenge, working with a group of 6 people in my year group. So I just wonder how you found that experience.
Yeah, so we were a really big team. I think there were 16 of us.
Wow.
So it's quite difficult as well, yeah, especially to differentiate from your friendships and then going into a professional kind of team with them. So I think the key thing for us was from the beginning just setting out kind of the ground rules, and we made sure that we had a HR department so that kind of any disputes could be dealt with in a professional way. And so any kind of disagreements we had were kept inside the business rather than taking them out into the friendship world. But it was quite difficult, but I think it's just getting the balance and making sure that you do have the clear ground rules before you kind of mix the two of friendship and work.
Perfect. Now, I'm not asking to name any names, but what kind of experience did you have in that HR? Because I think that's something that actually we don't talk about very often, and the challenge between working with friends and then working in a professional capacity in the young enterprise company. What kind of experiences did you have that maybe were a bit of a challenge?
Yeah, so I think it's just a naivety of not having ever run a business before or managed a team, but it was just kind of if tasks weren't done on time, or like kind of trying to motivate the team, and it was just working around trying to find the different leadership style for each person. But I think something that really helped us and was a big turning point was creating kind of a project plan. So we had a clear timeline and tasks that needed to be done, who was responsible for completing it, and that helped kind of get rid of any issues we had of tasks not being done.
Fantastic. And obviously the company programme year, it's obviously a full academic year, and there's lots of peaks and troughs as part of that experience. That's just natural of any business. But I wonder, what was one of the biggest challenges that you faced as a company, and how did you overcome that as a group?
Yeah, so I think in general, Corona was quite a big issue for everyone. So it was just, I think a big issue was trying to keep the motivation there, because previously we'd all been having weekly board meetings. We were able to interact and talk about all of our experiences and journeys. So I think trying to keep the whole team motivated was a really big issue. But for us, we continue to have meetings over Zoom, and also just reminding ourselves of why we'd done it. Our goal from the beginning was to win the company programme, which luckily we managed to do. So it was just about reminding ourselves of that and just keeping that in mind to go for.
And how much of the competition aspect did you focus on throughout? Was that like a key driver?
Yeah, it was a key driver for us, along with the environmental factor. That was really where we were going for. So we just, kept looking at the kind of guidance for it and how we could be our best in both our company report and our presentations. And we always tried to kind of work our business around that, as well as incorporating the sustainability.
And if you could start this whole experience off again and you're going to run your company, what advice would you give to yourself, from your own experience of your company journey?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I'd probably say to myself, you are going to make mistakes, because I think that was something that I really didn't want to do, but you learn so much more from your failures than you do from your successes. And also, taking advantage of every resource that was offered. So like your business advisors are great to use, teachers, and you can just learn so much from them. So I'd definitely say listen to people. That's the main thing.
Perfect. No, that is great advice. So now that you are now an alumni of the programme, you've been through an entire year, you've set up and run an incredibly successful business. Is there any words of wisdom or advice that you would like to give to our company programme students in Scotland who are just about to embark on this brand new journey?
Yeah. So I would say just don't be scared of the programme, because I think when you start it does look like such a big task. And there are times when you will feel like you're not getting anywhere, or there's something that you just can't complete and you can't get past a certain point. But you do, if you just keep working towards it and know what you want to achieve, there's always a way around it, and you can just keep motivating yourself and the team. And you are a team, you are in it together. Like, you're not there by yourself trying to get past this. You've got a whole team, so use them and just work together to get where you want to get to.
That's perfect, and a fantastic note to finish on as well. So thank you so much for your time, Tayla. It was really great, and I wish you all the very best and kind of whatever you go on to do next.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good luck to everyone who's starting their journey very soon.
Thank you so much, Tayla.
Everything is connected nowadays. It's time to measure our waste for a more sustainable future. We offer to businesses a better way of analysing their waste using data. These data are collected every time an employee throws waste in our connected trash can. It then measures the weight and sends the data to the cloud via the Wi-Fi module. Thanks to that, our app provides real-time data, graphs and numbers, team challenges, leaderboards and prizes, and tips and advice to reconnect with your consumption.
Animalki is a small manufacturer from Poland which produces unconventional and ecological articles for animals. We specialize in producing snuffle mats, sensory toys which develop the senses of our pets. We also offer a wide range of dog tuck toys and blankets in many shapes. Animalki merges the versatility with an alluring design. Our pet clients' contentment is our priority.
Living with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder often means having to settle your dreams. Deficit in attention and difficult impulse control often leads to academic problems in children.
Classroom noise is a main trigger of attention loss and uncontrolled impulses. Our learning bubble technology eliminates this factor.
$900 million. This is the number of plastic bags for dogs used every day. It's time to change this. Choose Eco Bags, an ecological bag made of maize starch that completely decomposes in less than a month. Eco Bags cares about you, cares about your dog, cares about the planet. We are Eco Bags and are here to take ecology to another level.
I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. I feel nice.
Local and fresh is what we do. Order your fresh crust and we bring it to you.
Here I come, can't have one if you ain't lost none. Big Papa Bear, call me the done. This 1-3 nizzle in the sound system. Here I come, big Papa Bear, call me the done. Can't have none if you ain't lost one. This 1-3 nizzle in the sound system. Yeah, so what you know about this thing? What you know about this thing? What you know about this thing? Come out the way when I shout this, yeah. What you know about this thing? What you know about this thing? What you know about this?
Finally, I found you, Agent 007. I got something important for you.
Something to serve the world with.
Exactly.
Join our mission, making the world a better place, one bow tie at a time, with style.
is a place where history is yet to be discovered. Have you heard about Landmark? Learning about history has never been this fun. The game is simple. Take your card, choose your category, and compare your ranking to one of your friends or family members, and conquer all Maltese landmarks. But make sure you don't lose yours. Buy Landmark now!
I hope that watching those videos has sparked some ideas about what is possible. Think big. I would like to now introduce you to our first keynote speaker, Rachael Brown of the Future Economy Company. Hi there, Rachael. Thanks so much for joining us today as part of our virtual company programme launch. For everyone sitting at home, this is Rachael Brown, Chief Executive of the Future Economy Company, who we've got joining us today to share a little bit of her knowledge and her business journey up to this day, and her thoughts on the skills that you'll need as the entrepreneurs of the future. So welcome, Rachael.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. This is a genuine thrill, actually.
Oh, no, thank you so much. So I wonder, actually, probably the best way to kick off is you to tell us a little bit more about your background and your journey into enterprise and business.
So my journey is probably a common one, which I think if you ask anybody who's in business or who's been involved in entrepreneurship or creativity or innovation, they will always start off with that. So I spent most of my early years after school and before I went to university in the music business. I am a trained opera singer, and although that was great and I really enjoyed it, I'm not really the opera singer type. I'm sort of not floaty enough, to be fair. And I came from a background, a working class background, which probably would be considered at the moment from an area of deprivation. I grew up in poverty, and I had a particular community and group around me. So being an opera singer in that environment wasn't considered something that you did. And then equally being an entrepreneur in that environment wasn't considered something that you did. However, I learned a huge amount in two main areas. One, I used to do music promotion. So I used to book bands and I used to sign record deals and do all that. And at the same time, I was a waitress. And those two things set me in good stead, because when you're a waitress or working in a bar or in a restaurant or whatever, and sadly that's not available to lots of people right now, but it tells you everything you need to know about the human condition. And that was one of my key learnings when I was growing up, and it stood me well in business. Knowing how to handle people, knowing how to engage with people, knowing how to communicate with people is hugely vital and something that shouldn't be underestimated. I decided though that the music business wasn't really for me, although it was great fun. I grew up in the 90s. I didn't discover anybody hugely famous, but it was great fun hanging about in the 90s and lots of recording studios and going to see lots of live bands. That's a whole other story for a whole other day. But I kind of quickly realised that I actually was really a big advocate and really actually quite good at getting people to discover their potential through creativity. And one of the stories that's always been really pertinent to me, and it was a big influence on me in my leadership journey, was I was teaching opera in a young offenders institute, as you do. Now, nobody wanted me to teach opera there. They certainly didn't want me to be teaching opera there. I'm not sure I wanted to be teaching opera there. However, what was really fascinating about that was that the young people I was working with had so much potential. They were brilliant. They were smart. They could think about complex problems. They had critical thinking. They could put it all together. Yes, they were terrible employees. And there was reasons why they were in the Young Offenders Institute. Actually, though, they would have been brilliant employers. And that was the thing that I got really fascinated by, that the power of creativity could help people really realize their full potential. I could see the change in their behaviour, and also they could learn some critical skills that would enable them to go on and do brilliant things. So it was at that point, that was one of the big influences in me. And it was at that point I thought, I'm going to combine those two things. I'm going to combine entrepreneurship, business acumen, if you like, and creativity to do something. And that's here I am now. Probably far too many years later to even go into, and I now lead a brilliant organisation, and it's brilliant because of the people that are in it, a brilliant organisation called the Future Economy Company, which is all centred around the future of our economy being about social impact and about creative impact, and how we can create the economy and the businesses of the future using those two things.
I love that, and I love how you talk about that journey as well, because we so often talk about the skills and those transferable employability skills, and one thing that I think is often missed out, depending on who you talk to, is creativity, and the freedom to be creative in a business. And so do you think that has been a real driving force around the businesses that you've been involved in over the years?
Absolutely. I mean, the World Economic Forum has a top 10 list of skills that you need. And a couple of years ago, creativity was like number 9. Creativity in today's world is number 3. Critical thinking is number 2, and adaptability is number 1. So if you think about all of the challenges that you have in your life, what is it that helps you navigate your way through that? It's the ability to communicate. It's the ability to have critical problem solving. It's the ability to understand that there is no right or wrong answer, but there's a series of choices. And being able to support and understand people through creativity, to learn all of those things, I think is hugely valuable. And that's sometimes what makes it very challenging, because there is no right or wrong answer. It's about your independent view. It's about the choices that you want to make. But I think it's very important that when you go into business, you understand that, because you will be responsible for people. You will be responsible for actions. You will be responsible for product. You will be responsible for services. So if you're unable to think beyond what could be a normal rudimentary decision, then you're not going to get very far. And I had the privileged position of being a judge last year on Young Enterprise, and I was absolutely blown away by the ingenuity and the commitment of the young people. It was really, really pretty special. But what I would urge you to think about this year, if you're starting this journey this year, is think about how creative you can be without being wacky or crazy. It's not about that. There's 1,000 ideas in the world, but turning an idea into reality without diluting that idea, that is a real skill. So being creative around the edges, thinking, who is the customer? Who and what could the product be? There are huge behaviour changes at the moment, and COVID-19 has created an environment that is challenging for all of us. In true entrepreneurial spirit, though, it has created an environment of opportunity. And you guys, the guys, you lot that I'm speaking to today, you guys are at the forefront of that. In 2008, the last financial crisis, Uber was born, Airbnb was born. And now, they were considered revolutionary at the time, but they're dead boring. And actually, imagine if we could lace all of those creative and brilliant ideas with social impact. What could you do to make society better? What could you do to make business better? And therefore, what could you do to make our overall economy better? That's the thing that gets me out in the bed in the morning. That's the thing that I get excited about. And I have a real privilege. I see hundreds and hundreds of businesses every year. And now, the last 5 months, I've seen some of the most impressive than I've ever seen.
And you talk about the choice that people have to make, and there's a lot of choices in business. That's the whole nature of business. One of the first things that the companies on Young Enterprise are going to have to decide upon is whether they're going to be a commercial enterprise or a social enterprise. Now, I know you've got a lot of experience with social entrepreneurs, and I just wondered if you could give, in your words, your description of what a social enterprise is, and why you think that a lot more young people should actually consider that as a business model.
I think that's a great question, and I think we're really at a tipping point in the way that we view what business can be and do. So yes, make money, love it. Why not? That's brilliant. You can make money easily though, and this is the comment in the conversation I have with lots of people. If your sole purpose is making money, that's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. Anybody can do it, and it's not that hard. That would be my controversial statement. If you want to create something that has meaning, that has value, that is driven in a way that is bigger than yourself, and actually think about the legacy that can be left, then I would urge people to think about social enterprise, social business, mission-led business, purpose-driven business. However you feel comfortable describing it, I would urge you to think about that. Now, this isn't about saying, here's a massive world problem, let's do our best to to do something about it. This is about saying, what are the things that are non-negotiable for me in terms of the values that I have as a person and as a business leader? And I use those words very deliberately, because I always hope that every one of you, especially, and I'm going to unashamedly speak to the young women who are listening here, I hope that you all think of yourself as a business leader. I am a confident, skilled business leader. I am not bossy, but I am the boss. And we have to get into that way of thinking. And the talent that we have must step forward and do something different. So if you want to create that environment where people love working, people love engaging with what you do, and they love the product or service, and they know that you're creating that in a supply chain that has impact, then that has got to be better for everybody. Making commercial decisions are easy, and actually at some point when you're in, you're all going to grow your business, I have no doubt. When you're growing a business, there'll be a crunch point where you have to make a commercial decision that will challenge your values. It will challenge your ethics, and it will challenge what you think should be the right or the wrong thing to do. Now, absolutely make whatever decision you want to make, and that is, I would defend that to the end of the earth. However, I would also suggest, don't be compromised. Make sure that you're sitting within a really strong value set of authenticity, integrity, curiosity. Make sure you want to be in an environment where you know that the product you create has multiple impacts and has a legacy in the way that you feel quite proud about it. So that would be my support and advocacy for social business. I actually think going forward, there is no true way of building our economy back again if we don't all take care of each other and have a social impact. And that is about making sure people are paid well. That is making sure that people are respected in their environment. That is also making sure that your supply chain doesn't exploit natural resources. It's also making sure that your supply chain has a level of integrity, that you know your other suppliers are treating their staff well, and so on and so forth. So I think there's something really special. Scotland leads the way in social business. I'm not sure many people know that. We're a beacon across the world. We have more social enterprises than anybody else. And we have an infrastructure that supports it more than anybody else. So it's something that's very close to my heart, and I'm very proud of what we've created here. And I look forward to seeing what you guys are going to create, actually.
And I think social enterprise is so much more than just, when people think about it, it's like wooden products, and I'm going to make something out of wood and that'll be something a bit different. But actually, it's so much, it's fundamentally at the heart of the business and the people as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. The purpose drives it forward. Social business isn't always charitable business. It isn't always business that, a good example of a social business that's been in the press recently, Ben & Jerry's. They're a social business. They're a B Corp. They actually have a very cool factory in the US where all of the chocolate chips that come from Ben & Jerry's come from a particular factory in the US that has an employ everybody policy. If you're a young person, an old person, a homeless person, anybody from any background or environment, you walk into this factory and you ask for a job, they will give you a job. And they've been doing that for the last 30 years. It's one of the biggest social businesses in the US, very well respected, very well run, and actually they give back and they generate lots of profit. They provide Ben & Jerry's with all this, the cookie dough and all those things in it. And that's a great example of something in the supply chain that is working well. It isn't about creating products that only have environmental impacts. This is about creating products and services that have a multiple staged impact. So you might be delivering workshops, but actually those workshops might be created by a certain group of people or might be for a certain group of people. Where you get your materials might be ethically and and socially sourced. Where you deliver or how you deliver might be fully accessible. These are all the little nuances. I would argue that creating and running a social business is harder than any other business because it has to be the full package. You have to think of everything. And that's why it's so impressive when people get it right, because they've thought about the human aspect, they've thought about the product or the service, they've thought about the supply chain, they've thought about the customer, they've thought about the actual overarching value chain of that business. And that's what makes it so impressive when it all comes together, and it all comes together in a very robust way, and it comes together in a way that is really well led. You have to be a strong leader to create a social business, because it is tough. It is tough being the good guy all the time and having to make difficult business decisions. You might not get on with colleagues, there might be choices to make, you have to be able to take that responsibility. But if your value is authenticity or kindness or integrity, you have to make those decisions based on that. That means it's when the going gets tough, it hurts.
No, that's fantastic advice, I think, and I would love to see a surge, and we are seeing a surge over the last couple of years, looking across the company programme and schools across Scotland and indeed the UK and across Europe, more and more social enterprises being set up that's more than just that environmental impact, that's their core purpose. So I know you were a judge at the Scottish Finals last year, and a tough day that it was, and reading all the reports and meeting with our 16 finalists. I just wonder if you would give some imparting words of wisdom for this group of people who are about to start that journey and who have got the next few months to really set up from scratch their own product or service or social enterprise. They're going to be competing next year from a judge's point of view. From a judge's point of view, I tell you what really impressed, the businesses that impressed me the most last year were businesses that worked well as a team. And actually, they had probably had quite a few bumps along the way, and they'd worked it out together, and they'd understood roles and responsibilities together, and they acknowledged that difficult conversations were part of the process, and they celebrated the good times, and they were kind and supportive in the bad times. And some people had easier journeys in than others. Some people's lives are more complicated than others. And so the teams that really valued each team member as an individual of what they could contribute and understood their own circumstances, that really impressed me, because that is something you're going to have to learn in business. A question I get asked all the time when I'm involved in this type of thing is, how do you work with people you don't like? And I was really surprised when I first got asked that question, because I work with hundreds of people I don't like, millions and thousands and zillions of people I don't like. However, it's not about that. It's about respecting people's contributions. And I can work with people that I respect. I can work with people that I trust. I might not necessarily hang out with them on a day-to-day basis. I might not necessarily don't like them, but I certainly don't want to not work with them. So I think that you've got to really dig deep in that, because that's challenging. The other bit of advice I would give is that the detail absolutely matters. You can have a really big, bold idea, 100% behind that. Turning that idea into reality and keeping the detail, it really matters. And making sure that every part of that piece of the business is as well executed as the others. So there's sometimes bits people like best. So they like selling, or they like the creating best, and you can get obsessed with that. If every part of the business has equal detail, and that requires a really strong team, that's impressive. And the last thing that I would give a piece of advice around is, if you are a natural leader within your own space and you feel that, go for it. It's not a conflict, it's not a challenge. Rise to that challenge. And don't be bossy, but be the boss. Take the responsibility and make sure that you look after people. If you are in that position, you look after that people with care, and you look after people with respect and integrity. Because if you can manage to even get your head around that at this stage of the game, oh my gosh, what you will be able to achieve going forward next in the world will be astonishing. I'm excited for this year. No, that is a fantastic piece of advice and to end on. So thank you so much, Rachel, for your time today. I really appreciate. I know how busy you are, especially in this current situation. So thanks so much for giving your time and advice to our young people today.
You're more than welcome. It's a pleasure. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel. One thing that is brand new for this year is our digital training programme for all company members. We are delighted to have partnered up with IOD, the Institute of Directors, ICAS, the Institute of Chartered Accountants Scotland, the Marketing Society, City Fibre, Accenture and RBS Dreambigger to provide you with a comprehensive suite of training. These will be a variety of live Q&A sessions with industry experts and recorded presentations that you can watch as a team. More details about dates and content will be shared directly with your centre leads. However, I am delighted that the first of these training sessions start next week with a live interactive workshop from the RBS Dream Bigger team on entrepreneurial mindset. And I'm delighted that Laura from RBS can be with us today to tell you a little bit more about it. Followed by our second and final keynote today from Kirsten McCrossan, a freelance creative entrepreneur who was also one of our Scottish final judges last year.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Mason and I am from the Royal Bank of Scotland's Dream Bigger programme. Dream Bigger is a fully funded programme focused on developing transferable entrepreneurial skills in young people across the UK. Our aim is to drive confidence in the preparation for the future world of work and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. And we do this by embedding entrepreneurial education in the curriculum across the UK. As an organisation, we champion potential and help people, families and businesses to thrive. And as the UK's biggest bank for business, we understand the skills required for the future world of work. By engaging with Dream Bigger, we will broaden career horizons and develop awareness of entrepreneurship as a possible career choice. Develop future skills and capabilities that lead to increased confidence and resilience, and will bridge the gap between education and the workplace, preparing you for the future world of work. And will also develop awareness, understanding, and self-reflection of yourself and others. Over the coming weeks, we will be supporting you on your company programme. I'm running 9 interactive digital sessions around mindset. And by the end of the sessions, you will have a deeper understanding of the impact that mindset has on entrepreneurs, the importance of mindset and how it can impact you, what growth and fixed mindset means as a concept, and finally, how developing a growth mindset can support the development of skills for the future world of work. You only need to attend one session, and instructions on how to sign up will be passed on by centre leads. If you don't receive the information, just get in touch with Fraser Morrison at YES. We are really looking forward to going on this journey with you, and we wish you the best of luck on the programme. See you all soon. Bye bye.
Hi there, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome Kirsten McCrossan here, who's a freelance creative entrepreneur. We had much debate before we started recording about what that title would be. So we'll find out a little bit more from Kirsten about her journey into enterprise and some of the advice that she's got as somebody who has judged the national competition last year in 2020 and also has judged some of our regional finals as well in Forth Valley. So hi, Kirsten.
Hello, Fraser. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm brilliant. Thank you so much for
Well,
having me.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted. Thanks so much for agreeing to join us. So I just wonder, actually, if we could just start off, we could tell us a little bit about your background and your journey into business and enterprise.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I have wanted to run a business, I think, since I was definitely a teenager, probably just after I left high school. And actually quite recently when I was doing some work with the Business Gateway, they told me that they had records from me from I was 22 and I'm 38 now. So that was quite a while ago that I've been kind of trying to get things started. And I'm a drama practitioner to trade. So from going to youth theatre myself, I was really interested in running workshops and running classes and being involved in drama, and I guess kind of making my hobby into my job. And I guess that really luckily kind of happened for me. But when I first started out, I worked for so many different companies and I just never found a company that I really agreed with, or I really thought, oh, this is an amazing ethos, or I love the way that everything's set up. There was always something that I just thought, why are they doing it that way? And I would always try and change things, and there was always this red tape up. And I think then I just realised, I don't really fit into working for a company where there's no flexibility. I just wanted to go, this doesn't work. Let's change it, let's make it better, and then change it there and then or the next day. And then as I started working for myself, I realised that I could do that. And I guess that's what took me away from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, somebody, I guess, who creates their own stuff and says no to, irritating rules that other people have made.
No, you're quite right. And I wonder then, because you work for other people, and then you started working for yourself, and then started employing other people to work for you, that's quite a big journey as well to go on. And I can say this as somebody who has actually worked for Kirsten as well before I joined YEUK Enterprise. How do you feel that, and you can be totally honest here, that managing people and working with people you're bringing on board to join something which is essentially something that you've created from scratch, how did you find that process?
Yeah, so if I kind of take it back a wee bit, then I actually started up like a freelance career when I was in my early 20s. So I was just working for, a contract here, a contract there, working for other companies. But then when I actually started up my own theatre school when I was, I think I was 26. So at first it was very much me. I did everything, and I had so much energy at that time, so doing everything was no bother to me. I loved it. But yeah, then as I started to bring people on, lots of challenges certainly started to come up. And I know that a lot of other creative entrepreneurs that say things like, there's no point in getting anyone else involved, you might as well do everything yourself. I don't agree with that, but I can understand why people say that from sheer frustration, because if you've got this little company that you've made, so mine was called Love Drama, and it was drama classes in Edinburgh, and you put all of your heart and soul and all of your energy and passion into it, and then you maybe hire somebody else to come along and help, and it just happens to be maybe one of their freelance jobs in amongst 5 or 6 others. They don't have that same level of passion towards it, so it can be quite frustrating when people have got different levels of how invested that they are in it. However, what I've definitely learned, and I'm still learning now, is that the worst thing I think that you can possibly do is try to do everything yourself. And it's when you find the right people to work with, and when you find a shared ethos in the way that you run the company, and the shared values, and everybody gets on, or at least has a really good professional understanding, it can actually be the most rewarding thing ever, because it takes all the pressure away from one person. And I think it's certainly better for people's mental health as well, not to be trying to do 11 people's jobs on their own. So although it comes with challenges and sometimes people don't gel, one of the worst things I've ever had to do in my career, and it was only last year, was fire somebody. And it was like literally the worst thing that I've ever done. Yeah. And I'm still not over it yet. And it was honestly like a year ago. And when I'm judging on this, I read things where people within the programme have had to ask somebody to leave, or have really stern conversations with people. And even when I'm reading that, I'm thinking, oh, that must be awful, because that it is, and it's a lot of confrontation that a lot of people would rather not have. So I really, really relate to that. So I think that working with people is difficult, but once that you find the right people to work with and you find an understanding, then it's a much healthier way to work, I think.
Absolutely. And do you think then, when you're, in your case, employing or looking for employees, or in our case at YEUK Enterprise, working with your peers, setting that core set of values and having a real defined purpose is really important for the company?
Yeah, definitely. When I took on my first full-time employee, so after I had Love Drama, I actually sold that business and it's still running just now, and then I started up another business called The Drama Box. And the first full-time employee that I took on there very much came from the values of the company. So I thought, what kind of person that I want to be working for me? And I learned it wasn't really necessarily that they had the exact technical skills. Because it was only me, I was thinking, who can come in, who's got a similar outlook, the same kind of values, the way that they want to kind of work, the way that they want to have the office the way that they want to work. Like I hate 9 to 5. I didn't like it at school, or 9 to 3, whatever it was. I've never done it in my life, or if I have, I've disliked it. So I wanted people that were a bit, wanted to come in and be flexible and kind of create a fun environment where we could all be our best and help each other out and things like that. And from taking on people like that, I really felt as if I just took on like the best team that I could, instead of just going, who's the best at doing this and who's the best at doing that, or who's got the best CV, who had the best hires, or who has the best degree. It wasn't about that. It was about finding the right people that could click together, and then it just becomes like going to work isn't like going to work. It's like hanging out with a group of really supportive people who all get the work done.
Absolutely. And you, the businesses that you've ran with Love Drama and the Drama Box are both service-based industries, so not essentially creating a physical product you can go and sell in a shop. It's very much about the people. How did you find, like, when you came to start pricing that or try to start selling that service, because it's really about the people, how did you find that whole process?
Very difficult, very, very difficult, because that I'll give an example actually of a friend of mine. She ran a cake business, and I remember she was trying to set a price for the cakes, and I know that is a product, but the service is making the cakes, and she was just like, it's just eggs and flour, shouldn't really be that much. And I was trying to tell her about pricing her time and the expertise and the decoration and the attention to detail and the research, and she's like, no, it's just eggs and flour, that can't sell that for too much. And it's that kind of idea, and especially if something's easy to you. So for her, making cake was quite simple. For me, going and running a workshop, like if somebody came to my door right now and went, here's 30 people, can you come out in the car park and run a workshop? I could do it easily. And then if someone said, and how would, the going rate might be, say, £350 for that. It still doesn't even sit right with me. That's something that I could literally stand up and do now with no preparation, because I've got so much experience, should be charged at that much. So I still struggle with it now. And I even did a job recently, a couple of months ago. In fact, it was in July, it was last month. And I still don't think I charged enough for it. It's something that's really, really difficult. But what you need to do is you need to literally sit down and write everything down. Like, how long is this taking me? How many years have I been studying this or know about it? What research am I doing? And understand that every time you're thinking about work, you're working. And also that what you're providing is something that nobody else can provide. And it can be quite difficult, because your service feels very simple to do when you become excellent at it. And what somebody might see you as being an expert or being absolutely brilliant at your job, but you might see it as just being, oh, it's just dead easy. It's not hard at all. So that, I find that very, very difficult. But when I think of, like, say, every time I go into a cafe or a restaurant that's a business, I'm literally sitting going, how hard must be it to run a business like this? Look, they've got a bar, they've got toilets, they've got cutlery, they've got uniforms, they've got all these staff, they've got electricity. My mind can't comprehend that because of all the overheads, all the money that's spent on it. Whereas a service-based business, for me, really, if I want to run myself as a freelance consultant just now, I really just need my phone, my laptop. I've got a Chromebook, a phone, and a wee car outside. That's all I need, and my brain. However, if I'm having a bad day, or if my brain breaks down, if my mental health isn't very good, I can't provide that service. So there's lots of kind of good and bad things about it, but I definitely wouldn't shy away from a service business, because if you've got something that you're good at, no matter how simple it seems, it's something that somebody else can't do. So I get somebody sometimes to do my garden, because I cannot do as good a job as that person can at my garden. It's the same thing, find someone to do something that you're not as good as. That's what a service-based business really is, I guess. Well, something that you can't be bothered to do, or you don't want to do, or you don't have the skills to do.
That's really great advice, and I think we're seeing more and more young enterprise companies moving into the service-based industry, because it's got a lower startup cost. You can just literally hit the ground running with what you as your team are really good at. So I think that's really great advice. And so throughout your kind of enterprise journey, I know we've spoken at length in the past about different skills that you need to be able to be a successful entrepreneur. And I think everybody has a different opinion on the skills that somebody should have. And I just wondered what your take on that was, and what you think are the most important skills for being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, there's one word that's come straight into my head, and it's actually not a word that I usually use, so I feel I would Google it just to check, but I'm on my phone, but it's tenacity, which I think is about just that. You have to be so focused and headstrong and get things done to start your own business, because any of us, and there's nothing wrong with being a good employee, which is somebody who sometimes takes a set of instructions and tasks and goes and does them to the best of their ability, is a very, very different role from having to think of every single thing from scratch. So with my businesses, like with the drama box, for example, it actually blows my mind to look at it and think that used to be literally a few sentences on a notepad, and that was it. And then it grows to the name of the business, what it's about. You know, then you've got your visuals, your logo, your website, your values, your staff. Then there's an office, and then there's posters on the wall, and then there's, you know, people talking about you, and there's, you know, there's money, and there's accountants, and there's VAT, and all these different things. And it literally comes from a couple of sentences, and that takes an amazing amount of focus and drive. And being an entrepreneur, I think, is about having this crazy energy inside you that has to get something done. And it's okay not to have that, because not everybody is going to start their own business, and we all need brilliant employees. You also get employees who have that, entrepreneurs, like people who have that energy and run it within a business. And I certainly had people like that in my teams. They were by no means just doing what I told them, but it takes that drive and that vision, and also the ability to not really care if anything goes wrong, because things will go wrong constantly, because you're making it up as you go along. That is one of our things that we said at the Jam Box all the time, was we are just making this up as we go along. I had to say, I don't know what I'm doing because I've never done this before. You guys don't know what you're doing because you've never done it before. We'd all just need to have fun in the fact that we're all just making this up. There's no rules to our business because we've just made this up ourselves. And then from that, some things will go amazingly right. Some things will go, which will feel like monumentally wrong, because you might have had a different vision for where it's going. Like, we've written this proposal and we're going to get all this money for it, and then they go, do you know what, we don't need it anymore. And you might have been working on that for 5-6 weeks or longer. There's so many things that can go wrong, but you need to just brush it off straight away. And what I do, is if something goes wrong, well, then that's gone wrong because we weren't supposed to do that. Something better is going to come along. No, don't worry about that. And you almost just have to smile at it. That went wrong. That's fine. Let's just find a way on. Because if you sit in the negativity and the, oh, I can't believe this has happened and we really needed that to go right, you're not going to get anything done. You almost just have to smile at it, give it a little laugh. It didn't work, cool, whatever, and move on to the next thing, or use it to your advantage. So, I mean, I know that when I've been teaching drama, one of the main things that I look at is celebrate mistakes, celebrate failure, because in drama, the same thing can happen. If you do something wrong, it can really affect you, but you need to just learn that you just have to move on. And mostly those mistakes that you've made are the biggest learnings that you could possibly learn. You can't learn these things from a book or from anybody else. And yeah, it's so important. Like, and one other thing, if I can, Fraser, when I was judging, I noticed that some people seemed really comfortable with the mistakes that they'd made and how they'd overcome them. I loved reading them because it was so real, it was honest, it was transparent, and also to see how they'd overcome them was really inspiring, and that showed that tenacity, that kind of like, this has went wrong, but you know what? It was something about, I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with something had broken. So somebody had bought a load of stuff and they'd broken, and they'd already spent all their money on it, so they made the break in it a feature, like it had a cracked effect, or it was something along those lines where they thought, this has went wrong, but you know what, we're actually going to make this a feature of it, and then they went ahead with it. And I found that really amazing. There are also people that have set something up and went, you know what, this part of our business that we've made at Young Enterprise isn't working, let's just scrap it and then move on. I like to hear about that. It's not a test. You're not going to get an A, B or a C for this. You know, it's not like if you've done it all right, you get an A+, and if you've done it all wrong, you fail. It's not like that. And it's about trying to get that mindset shifted, that actually the mistakes are the things that are going to make your learning better for you.
Do you know, I think that's so refreshing to hear, because so often, you know, we sit on these calls and I have the real pleasure of traveling around the country, you know, COVID permitting, and seeing all the finals and talking to the groups of young people who have taken part in this programme. And actually, it is so great to hear people who say, do you know, actually, we tried this out and it was so wrong, and actually we scrapped this idea, but we came up with this other product, and look at us now. We've sold so many of these, and we've got the partnership with this person, and we're doing this, and it's that is really the learning. And I think my advice, talking with you here now, with the young people listening at home, is that don't be afraid to tell us those mistakes, those failures. And I love that phrase of celebrating those mistakes. And that's part of your journey. And we're not looking for, in Young Enterprise, the most perfectly polished team who has made the most money and has the most super innovative, incredible product or service. We're looking for a team as part of that has gone on that journey and has really told their story, and been able to tell that in an interview is a real skill, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like the stories the ones that stay in my mind are definitely, you know, people weren't showing up and we were all falling out. We had too many people, and someone had this idea and someone had that idea, and it wasn't gelling, and you know, someone wasn't pulling their weight, and I had to tell them what you know, I had to pull them up about this. And you know, we went to a fair where you have to sell things, and we looked around and thought, God, we've done this completely wrong. All of these stories, and that's what makes it interesting, because you guys will also be making it up as you go along. You know, you'll have some structures and some advice that you can follow, but no one will have run the exact business that you've chosen to run before. And when you're telling your story, as Fraser said, the story of your business includes all the weird and wonderful and the ups and downs and the whole roller coaster of it. That is a story. It's not a compelling or interesting story. Like, we made all these things and they were all perfect, and we sold them all and we made lots of money. We're all best friends, and we've made £3,000 in the end. Like, okay, whatever. We want to hear about like the interesting parts of it, and basically the blood, the sweat and the tears. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it real.
No, I think that's excellent advice. And talking about advice, I just wonder, Kirsten, you know, kind of to round off, as somebody who judged the national finals there and got to speak with the 16 teams that had won their local regions, what advice would you give to people who are just starting that journey now and are going to be competing, you know, next March, April for their own regional finals? Do you have any standout advice from what you experienced last year?
I would say, have the confidence maybe to think a little bit outside the box and to be creative, because this is kind of a chance to experiment. And I know that it's easy for me to say, because I'm not entering the competition, that, you know, it's not the winning that counts. But if you really want to do this experience and learn something from it and take something away from it, which is going to help you further down the line or in the future, I would really say to try and choose something that is going to challenge you and challenge your team, and use your creativity, and you know, really kind of have fun with the conversations that you're having and what you can do, because the more that you kind of push yourself and push your imagination and your creative boundaries, the more that you're going to learn, and maybe the more mistakes that you will make, but that will still be such an amazing thing to happen and to learn about, rather than just picking something really bog standard and simple and going through the process just ticking all the boxes. I just personally don't think that you would get as much out of that, especially if you're quite a creative and an imaginative person.
Well, thank you so much. That is a perfect place to end on. Thank you so much for telling your story and taking the time today to be a part of this virtual national launch of the company programme. I think the advice will really resonate with a lot of the young people at home, and hopefully will carry on some of that learning all the way through their company programme journey. So thanks so much for your time, Kirsten.
Thank you so much, Fraser. Good luck, everyone.
As we reach the end of our launch here today, I hope that you are feeling inspired and excited to get started on the Young Enterprise Scotland Company Programme. I have asked some of my colleagues at YES and some of our company programme alumni to share a few pieces of advice they wish they'd known at the start of the programme. But that's all from me. Thank you so much for listening. If you need any help throughout the year, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me on fraser.morrison@yes.org.uk. Good luck, and I can't wait to see what your companies all create.
Hi, I'm Mary from Young Enterprise Scotland, and my top tip for anyone involved in the company programme would be to think about the planet. Think of something sustainable, something that is going to make the world a better place. This past year, we've all had a time to reflect on what it is that we're doing with our planet. And I suggest that you think of something that can really make a change. Think big.
Hi, Julie here from Scotland's Enterprising Schools. Just wanted to say how excited I am for you that you're at the start of your company programme journey. And just to say, use this as an opportunity to work with new people, to try out new things. You'll get far more out of it in the long run if you just push yourself out of your comfort zone that wee bit. So good luck and enjoy yourselves.
Hi, I'm Mark Armstrong and I work for Young Enterprise Scotland. I completed the company programme in 6th year at school all those years ago. It had a lasting impact on my life, not only because I now work for Young Enterprise Scotland, but I still hold on to some of the knowledge and material from my experience. I've got 2 antiquities here in front of me, a share certificate that I sold and a certificate of success gained by participating in the programme. As I say, these are very, very old. I want to give you 3 tips for completing and be successful within the company programme. So, to start off, first tip is launch it with enthusiasm, motivation and an open mind. One of the first steps you'll be asked to do is to raise some capital. So this is a share certificate. All businesses need money to get started. So start selling shares and generating cash now. Ask your family or friends to help. People can only help if they know that you need help. Asking the questions will often see a positive response. The next tip would be to focus on the journey and not the prize. We do have a prize associated with this. Don't worry about that. Don't always focus on making big bucks. This is a learning platform that will coach you to be a stronger entrepreneur and learner by participating. You will be learning every step of the way. Entrepreneurs can often learn the hard way by spending their own money and often losing some of that. This is a great way to learn how to run a business, but by using other people's money. That's the key. My third and final tip would be to commit and stay focused. You get a certificate at the end, but you get so much more. There will be days when you come up against barriers, but business is about resilience and recognising that every day won't be a bed of roses. We will help you to succeed. I'm going to leave you with 6 words to use within the company programme and life. Use these for the future, now and the future. 6 words are can do, can do, can do. Good luck.
Be innovative and think big.
One piece of advice I would give to anyone starting the company programme this year, something I wish someone had told me right back at the start, would be to never underestimate just how successful your small business can become. And kind of more generally, just to enjoy every single moment while you're in it. You will make the best of friends, you will be given the most amazing opportunities, the most amazing networking opportunities, and I often just wish that I could go back and appreciate that a little bit more. There will be times when things are really stressful and it kind of takes away from that, but really when I look back, it is just one of the best things I've ever done, and I'm so jealous of everyone starting it this year because I always wish that I could go back and do it again. You're going to have the most amazing time, and yeah, just seize those opportunities, enjoy it in the moment, and the absolute best of luck to you all.
Hi, this is Lynn from the Bridge to Business team. In these times of really fast-moving digital innovation, my tip would be to ensure that your business idea is well represented online, either in an e-commerce website or maybe even an app. Researchers are saying there'll be more online entrepreneurs launching in the next 6 months than there ever has been before. You could be one of them. Good luck with your company programme journey. I wish you all the best.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa from Young Enterprise Scotland, and I want to share my top tip with you for participating in the company programme. My top tip would be organised, because time goes so quickly. Before you know it, you'll be ready to be at your regional finals to compete against other schools. So make sure you give yourself enough time to do all of the amazing work that you're going to do.
Hi, my name's Lyle, and I took part in the Young Enterprise programme a couple of years ago and sat on the Scottish judging panel this year. One of the best pieces of advice that I could give anyone taking part in this programme is to take advantage of every opportunity you're given. Go and meet your customers, do your market research, engage in your community, and document the whole journey on social media. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Craig Johnston, CEO of Giglets Education and a Young Enterprise Scotland company programme alumni. The one piece of advice that I wish I'd had at the beginning of my journey was to absolutely ensure that you pay attention to the needs of your customer. It's critical that you forensically understand what it is your customer's looking for and deliver on that basis. If we'd got that right from the very beginning, we might have moved a bit quicker and got to where we are today with a few less bumps in the road. So best of luck, guys. I look forward to seeing your successes out there in the virtual world. All the best.
Hello, my name's Jeff Leask, and I am very fortunate to be the Chief Executive of Young Enterprise Scotland, the leading enterprise education charity in the country. I'd like to take just a second or two to wish every young person across Scotland, no matter where they are, whether they're in Shetland, the Western Isles, the Central Belt, or in the south of Scotland, every good fortune as they participate in the company programme this year, 2020 into 2021. We live and work in a very different environment to what we've had before, and I know that young people are the best in the world in Scotland at adapting to the circumstances that they face. So have a super time, learn great skills, gain qualifications where you can, but most importantly of all, when you're participating in the company programme, please have lots of fun.